I suppose our involvement with the Lord of the Rings film started in the 1980s with when we met John Howe on reenactment events on the continent.
John Howe is one of the art directors on the film, films.
But before that, apart from being a fantastic artist, he also was into reenactment, 15th century reenactment. And we met him in the late 80s. Actually, the first time we were at the same event, but the first time I actually met him, it's quite a funny story. After the reenactment events sort of finished in the evening, the castle or wherever we were was the public had left, so you could do what you liked. And one of the sort of normal themes was murder in the dark, which is you go around castles and
always known as assassin.
Or assassin. Yeah, it was assassin. It was a bit more, a little bit more adult theme, I suppose. Assassin. But we used to go around and then stab somebody in the back with a pretend dagger, and then they're on your team. But you've got to find them first.
So you get little congas of people walking around the castle.
In the dark, in the castle. It's really good fun, especially when you're pissed. But the way I found, the night I bumped into John Howe.
John Howe found you.
Well, John Howe sort of found me. Yeah, he did find me. In the courtyard of Lensmore Castle, there's this small tree. It's not a big tree. It's only a sort of quite a small tree. But I was in the courtyard, sort of working my way across the courtyard, and this spidery, tall, spidery, thin, black thing with a cloak suddenly fell out the tree, which he was trying to grab onto, was trying to cling onto, in front of me, and sort of crumpled on the floor. It must be a good 8-10 feet. I said, "Are you all right?" He said, "Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, I'm all right. I'm John." And that's how I met John Howe. But we after that we were sort of all going along to the same events.
Yeah.
On the continent. And in around about 1999, in a castle in Italy.
Yeah.
Nolly.
You think it was Nolly? I think it might be somewhere else.
Anyway.
I think it was in France. Anyway,
dim distant past. We were sitting around the fire late at night outside and having a few beers. John was there.
We knew he'd been up to something film-wise for potential Lord of the Rings films coming up, and so we thought we would inquire. And he was very tight-lipped, to say the least, about it.
But we said, Michael, I think he said, take a video of you.
Yeah, could you ask you
just
some
say
questions?
Something?
Yeah.
And he sort of acknowledged he'd say something.
Yeah, and he sort of...
Yeah, as soon as you turned it on, he just wouldn't.
Yeah, he just wasn't allowed to.
But the conversation off camera, he was telling us a few little bits and pieces which were going on. He was very excited about what was happening. This is 1999 or...
Yeah, something like that. 98, 99, yeah.
He'd been over to New Zealand for, I think, about a year or something, if that, and was a sort of...
So it's all preliminary work on the first film being done.
But he said, you need to go over there. I said, well, we think the same. We'd never get to go over there.
He said, they treat you like kings. I said, what? I think he'd been telling them stories about what we got up to. And
I think it's just...
Peter. And anyway...
Well, it might be just the general thing for New Zealanders.
Yeah,
anybody coming from Britain, it's a long way to come, so anybody's treated like a king when you get over there.
So when we actually got to meet Richard Taylor later on, he said, "Oh, you must come over. You sure?" And so anyway, that's another story. But we did go over there, obviously. But initially, we didn't expect ever to be part of it.
But I think was it 1999 that the workshop got the go ahead, or got the could put in proposal for the
to do miniatures for the film.
what's it called,
Bid, a kind of a
but for this particular sort of bid, can't be called it. There's a proper name for it. We had to make a few figures for the what there was of the only illustrations, the only pictures of what had been filmed was just one picture of a goblin, and I think not even an orc. I think it was just 2 pictures of goblins. Isn't it?
All we need to do is make 3 figures. Alan ended up making 2. I ended up making 1 because I went on holiday, and they're going to use some dwarves of their own dwarves as an example of to be all painted up in units.
Yeah, unfortunately, well, they gave us a couple of days to do it.
Yeah.
So Michael went on holiday and had to make these figures over the weekend so we could get them back in time for the figure painter to paint them into a unit. They'll paint a unit of about 20 or 30 and put them on the base and everything, so a little diorama to go ready to go off. I think it was John Blanche and
for the pitch,
and
Andy Jones,
and one other, I think, off for the pitch over in Los Angeles, I think it was, on the Wednesday, I think it was, about halfway through the week. So it wasn't really long.
No, it's very rushed. But I think they actually came out right, and the painting was great on them, and it seemed to work. I mean, it did help that we kind of, I don't know if it helped at all, but we did mention that John Howe, we knew John Howe, and whether that had an influence, I don't know, in the meeting.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I think it was a foregone conclusion, I'd have thought, because
nobody else was really.
Games Workshop were
the biggest
at the time, and still are.
Had the money to spend on
and
it.
had all the shops that they could, when they're asked where can we buy these figures if they come out, they said, "Oh, you can buy them anywhere." Nearly
all the major cities.
Major cities were around around Europe and America had them anyway. So it was a bit of a foregone conclusion, I think. But it was all very exciting.
But it wasn't for another 6 months or a year, I think, before we actually started work on them, because we didn't have all the information anyway coming through initially of what characters looked like or anything. And
it took a while to come in.
And it was Alan and me, Brian Nelson,
Gary
Morley, and is that it? Initially, there's about 4 of us.
Initially, and a couple of figure painters.
Yeah.
And obviously Rick Priestley, because he was writing the rules.
Yeah.
And but most, apart from Rick, we were all locked in a room downstairs, literally with a guard outside.
Yeah.
With a code on the door and everything. Because the stuff from New Line was coming in, all the information for the figures, which all stills of the actors in various states of dress and undress, sort of standing like that mostly.
Completely hush-hush. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was so exciting when you sort of got a new batch of stuff in, because you could see
just pour through
what was coming out.
Blimey, look at that. Yeah.
And not just still, obviously stills and things as well.
Yeah. It wasn't just actors half naked.
No. But we also had Richard Taylor come over a couple of times.
Yeah, a couple of times, yeah. Head of Weta.
Yeah, head of Weta. Who's a lovely bloke, and he is so helpful and everything. And what was it? When we eventually, the first film came along, we didn't go to the premiere because all the managers got to go. None of the people who actually did the work. Yeah. Did the work. They did some work, I think, but none of the
not physical work.
No. Anyway, the next year made up for it, though.
Yeah, we went to the European
premiere
in Berlin, which was
Paris.
Paris. That's
Paris. Paris.
Yeah.
But actually, when we went to the Paris one, John Howe just happened to be putting on his he had a private view of Lord of the Rings
And other things. Art.
artwork
Yeah.
in Paris. So, although it was a cast and crew party, they invited me, Michael, and Alessio.
He might be in there. And
He's definitely in
Yeah,
the other one. But Brian,
Yep.
Brian Nelson, and did Gary come along? He did. Gary came along. But anyway, we went along as sort of guests, and we sort of went along to the private view. We went along to the premiere and everything. But interestingly, it was before, I think, the premiere. There's this private view. And that's where we got to know Peter.
Richard said, "Oh, you've got to speak to Peter. You've got to speak to Peter. He's about to buy a tank." And
This is Richard Taylor.
Richard Taylor, because Richard knew that we had a Second World War light tank, and he knew that Peter would be interested. We've got a similar interest, and so he said, "You must come talk to him." So we met him behind a crowd of people who were listening to John give a talk about his artwork in French. So John was standing on the podium and speaking French to people.
Because John Howe's French Canadian.
Fluent, yeah. And
we couldn't really understand much. But luckily, Peter came to our rescue.
Yeah. So they stand right at the back, whispering to each other. And
getting very excited about tanks.
Talking about tanks.
And then later on, there was a meal planned. And Richard said, come along to the meal. And on the way to the meal, he got talking to us. And he said that Peter's been trying to get some 54mm First World War figures made, but the Weta workshop, although absolutely brilliant, the sculptors there, absolutely fantastic. Also, but 54mm isn't their scale really. Well, the people who were there at the time, he was still trying to get. I think there might have been time as well. Yeah. Couldn't get enough people onto the project that he was into.
I said, well, we can do that.
We said,
so we did.
We could do that.
Yeah. About a couple of weeks later, I think we sent over me and Alan and Brian sent over a figure. Actually, Brian, Brian didn't.
We took them all over.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
No, we said. How did we?
No, we sent them over.
We did send
the
them
first
over.
ones.
That's right, we did send them over.
Yeah, the first ones we sent over.
Yeah.
And got a phone call from Richard saying, "I've just come out of a meeting with Peter. These are brilliant. That's exactly what we're after." So that went down well. And then we ended up making hundreds of them.
For Peter,
yes. Yeah, for Peter, yeah.
But this has nothing to do with Lord of the Rings, obviously.
No.
But Peter's other passion is First World War. So.
Kind of connected.
But anyway, so we got on quite well with Weta people, and because after that, we went over to the first. Well, Richard said, "Come over and
we'll get you in the film."
We'll get you in the film.
2002, I think it was. We went over.
Yeah, actually, it might be 2003 because they're doing pickups for all the films, aren't they? It's 2003.
It might be.
Because
possibly
it was 2003. Because they're doing all the pickups over some messed up emails. We went over 2 weeks too early before they started filming. But they're sort of obviously all lovely people over there. So they said, "How about spending the time at Weta workshop?" And
Peter said, "Yeah, you stay for the next couple of weeks, and we'll get you in when we start filming."
Yeah.
And we said, "Oh, we've got girlfriends and wives who will be mad."
Yeah.
We already spent a week over here and spent another 2 weeks. He said, "What are you, men or mice?" We said, "Mice."
But we said we will be back.
Yeah, as soon as you start filming, we'll be back.
So before we left, we started sorting out the next flights.
Booking the next flights, which were only about a month after, I think.
If that, yeah. So we went back, and that's when we started sort of really getting ensconced in New Zealand.
It was good fun. For the first time, we kind of walked in on the set. It was an interior set, and or in the studio at South. What's the name of it? I can't remember. But anyway, walked in, and they'd arranged seats. You know, the typical kind of seats you see on
Stone Street.
Stone Street, yeah. Around Peter's armchair. He directs from an armchair half the time, and these 3 seats were behind that, and they said they're your seats. Oh, really? And Peter had a monitor in front, so that we were watching where the film was coming up and being or was being filmed. They showed the latest take and so on, and we're just leaning on the chair. Oh wow! Oh, don't know about that. give Peter a few pointers. No.
This is when Alessio was over as well.
Yeah, Alessio was over. Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's
Four seats. Yeah.
Me, Michael, Alessio, and Brian.
Yeah.
Brian Nelson. And it was just so relaxed. They really, I mean, they said treat you like kings. So they did. It's any door was open, you could sort of. They didn't.
Which was
where you went.
Not the same for other people, guests. Really, they could come sit on set for an hour and then they had to go again, or they had to be kind of ushered out. But but they didn't mind where we went. It was unbelievable. And obviously you've got the actors coming in and doing their thing, and they'll come over and chat, or you go to them and talk to them. They actually answered.
We managed to get Billy Boyd out for a drink.
Yep.
Quite a few drinks. He got quite drunk, didn't he?
He did, but he's up again at 5 o'clock in the morning for
to do his
death. Well, not death.
Mary's sort of near-death scene.
Yeah.
In front of the Mamiko.
Yeah. But he knocked it back.
Yeah. Good fun. Yeah.
Well, we did as well, but I only just managed to keep up with him, I think. Very nice bar, though. Malt House.
Yes.
Yeah. But
anyway, but you want to talk about figures, really? That's a preamble, really. Like a prologue. Well, I suppose. Well, first we sort of started working, obviously, on the Fellowship or the Ring. I think we knew that. Well, we realised that there wasn't going to be any big fights as such.
There was the Balrog to do.
But yeah, a few big monsters, and the cave troll.
Yep. And goblins. I mean, I think that was one of the first things we ended up doing, and the characters.
Yeah,
themselves.
Brian was given most of the characters to do.
Mm.
While he did that, we sort of did a lot of the other bits and pieces in the first sort of year, really.
First movie, yeah.
And these are all based off like the stills that you've been receiving.
Yeah.
Was there any like difficulty, I suppose, in like having a static image to what was it kind of?
I'm not transferring. We kind of treated it like working on historical range, because historical ranges you sometimes get back view, side view, or something. But
no, this is great.
This is great. You got the all round view.
Yeah.
And
most of the time there wasn't any problems. No. The only problem came when there was digital creatures like the Balrog and the cave troll.
Because they normally left until the end of the filming, right at the end. And so you have a few months before the film actually comes out. And so we're a little bit frantic, especially for the Balrog and cave troll. I can't remember
the cave troll changed halfway through. The size. I was making it at about 40 mil, I think, and it increased to about 54 mil. But I was halfway through it, so unlike a digital thing, I can't push a button and increase. So that was put aside, and I had to make another one. But apart from that, everything was reasonably
straightforward.
Smooth.
Yeah. What was interesting was that the actors got approval from the face approval and body. Some of them had body approval. Yeah. So we had to send off the original copies to their agents, who then either showed them or the agent would say no or yes. And most of the time we didn't. There wasn't any. There's one or two minor things like Gandalf's hat. The tip of it curved the wrong way, to the left rather than to the right.
So Brighton just did that.
Yeah.
And
sent it back. Oh yeah, it's fine. And there was a tuck in Legolas's tunic.
Thingy, wasn't it?
Aragorn. No.
Oh, yeah, it was Aragorn.
Oh, it was
Because he's
Aragorn.
doing that.
All right, yeah.
Yeah,
And so as you bend forward, you automatically get a
Great
fold
folds.
in the clothing, and it was considered that it looks like rolls of fat on him, but it's only a single. It's made to look like cloth. But anyway, Brian took it back and just tucked in that crease.
Again, it was fine.
Yeah.
Arwen.
yeah.
Arwen.
Her feet were far too big originally.
Yeah,
I mean, not her feet, the model's feet.
Just for clarification.
Yeah.
yeah. Get Gary. Gary made a bit of a boo boo with that one, really. Well, literally. I think the feet and the bum was a bit big.
Yeah.
The face wasn't.
Not
right.
very ladylike.
Yeah.
So it had to be refined a little bit from the waist down.
A few times. Yeah.
Were all of these like sculpted in green stuff or anything else?
This was all green stuff, really.
Yeah, green stuff at the
Yeah.
time. Yeah, yeah. We weren't making digital until, well, not for a number of years afterwards,
Till
really.
the Hobbit.
How did you find then moving from like Fellowship of the Ring to the Two Towers? Like by this point, I suppose collectively Games Workshop would have had their almost like routine of.
Well, from Fellowship of the Ring, I think New Line were very impressed by the way they did cordon off everybody in one room, and they became more relaxed. So our work regime became a little bit more relaxed. I think when we were taken out of the room anyway, we could make.
I think that's by the third movie, wasn't
Was it the third movie?
Yeah.
We might have still been
Yeah.
in the room in the second movie, but by the third movie they're completely relaxed. But yeah, Two Towers. That's yeah.
Yeah, I think it kind of blended into one into the next movie because we'd started working on
Yeah.
that by the time the first film came out. And
There's information coming through from
yeah,
most films, I think, really.
and if there's any gaps, we were filling it with what ifs, kind of, or kind of the things like the. Actually, I don't know.
So that was between Lord of the Rings and
Oh
The
yeah,
Hobbit.
that's true.
So
yeah.
no, we didn't fill anything. We didn't have time to fill it.
No,
was
actually, no. There's too
timed
much.
out, no.
There was too much to do. Yeah, yeah.
Was there any extra? Because I gathered the range of models have probably increased given like the success of the movies, and obviously I think the company wanted to capitalise on it. Like,
Yeah.
did your workload suddenly increase?
It was busy all the time, as far as I remember.
Yeah.
It was quite constant. I mean, it can only work to a certain speed, but I can't remember it increasing anymore. But it was always busy.
Yeah.
Even from the start, it was because you had to get stuff done for a long release, shortest release date as possible. But usually it was about
We knew.
a year.
Well, we knew when the next film was, so we had to work
Yeah, it had to be
from there backwards.
The deadlines were very tight, and also, obviously the figures had to go into the books, which had a long deadline as well. Well, short deadline. Sorry, short deadline.
Painted and photographed
Painted
for
and
the books.
photographed and all the books. So it was all very quick. Sort of not quick, but hard and sort of yeah.
Yeah, and all the
fast work.
publications obviously had to be vetted as well by the film company, and so that was quite a fairly long process. It wasn't immediate. Normally several weeks.
Of course, while this was going on, Rick was sorting out the game system, which he actually did in this room, because he couldn't do it at the studio. Because
Too many prying eyes.
Too many prying eyes. But he asked, could I do it at your house? I said, yeah. So most weeks when he was working on it, I think we'd spend about half a day or something coming over here and playing on this table.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah, terrible work.
Being paid to play games.
But it was great
It's
fun.
good.
Really good
fun. Yeah.
So that sort of broke up the sculpting side of things,
Yeah.
but
I thought you
it's
were
all
gonna
good fun.
say monotony.
No, it wasn't monotony. It's all extremely exciting
Yeah.
because it was something the workshop had never done before. Working with a big film.
License like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier about kind of almost like treating it as historical figures.
Mm.
Do you guys, enjoy working on this project more than say like Warhammer Fantasy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there was always reference material for the Warhammer stuff, but and early on we got far more license to make figures how we wanted to.
Yeah, the first
But
10 years, I think.
Yeah, as time progressed, you're a little bit more kind of controlled by
Well,
concept
concept
artists and
yeah,
management. But,
and the rules.
and the rules, yeah.
But this was also when we were told these would be more in
scale.
proportion as well. No big hands and no big feet.
Apart from Orwell, yeah.
Apart from that, but we thought that's great, and also the weapons could be more in scale as well.
Yeah.
Which is everything we like to do.
Workshop and New Line both wanted them to look different to the Warhammer models, and that's the way we did it. Yeah.
Like collectively amongst yourselves, how did you divvy up who did what? I suppose because I met Trish Carden.
Oh yes.
And she talked about her doing She-Hulk.
That's right. Yes,
right.
she did.
She did
Yeah,
monsters. Yeah.
Peter Jackson's obviously. I mean, her moniker is Monster Girl anyway.
Oh yes, yeah.
So I mean, like, was it?
I think it's kind of first come first served, almost. Although I think Brian ended up doing a lot of the characters right at the beginning. He did anyway, because he's very good at it.
And actually, with Aragorn on the first set, he did how many was it? 30 heads.
I think it's 23 heads,
Oh, 23 heads.
and he picked the 13th, something.
Something like that. Yeah.
And he used that.
So he is a perfectionist, and obviously, but yeah, all of them are great. But this particular one was the one.
Yeah.
So yeah, so he was. He did most of those figures early on.
I come the second film and third films with me and Alan making the character models as well. It's always fun.
Yeah.
Just going back to the movie, like obviously because you guys were hearing, weren't you? Is that right?
Yes.
No, not Rareham.
Yes. We certainly were.
Oh, yes.
The real memories. Awful.
Yeah, no, I was going back to Lake Town and Hobbit. No.
Did you guys have like any
Lines? No.
Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose any input into what you were doing, or did they just say,
Oh, no.
here to do here,
Well,
Yeah.
go stand over there,
Lie down there.
Yeah.
You're going to be walked over. Basically.
yeah, I think this was
Bodies.
was it the last couple of days. The first time we were on set, I think we were there for about a week or something, watching. Well, 2 weeks, might be two weeks. Anyway, the last couple of days, I said we'll get you on
In tomorrow.
This is just before we sort of went off, sort of flew off, and so we arrived and they got us kitted up as Rohan warriors, dead though obviously, but
originally the ADC came in and speak to us. He said, "Oh, you're on tomorrow. You'll be orcs." We went, "Oh, okay." Obviously, we're going to be made up, so nobody would tell who we are. And then
Peter's.
we're sitting at Peter's chair, and I said, I said, "We're on tomorrow, apparently." And he said, "It's orcs." I said, "It's orcs?" No. And he had a word, and the ADC came scuttling like,
I'm so sorry.
Sorry. No, you'll be Rowan.
Rohan.
Yeah.
So, and although we're quite short, Rohan and tall. Leslie was right; he was fine, the right height. But
lying down.
Michael and Brian were quite short.
Yeah.
But Peter said, "No, don't worry about that. You'll be lying down."
You can't tell how tall you
You can't tell.
lying down.
So we sort of got kitted up and everything, and sort of splayed around the casualty area in front of the big dead mammoth. Mammoth. Mammoth.
Not a mammal.
Mammoth. Mammoth's a completely different thing. But they had quite good fun with your arm.
Oh yes, because it's missing. I said, "Have you got a spare one?" It's just one of the crew actually, one of the wardrobe.
As we're lying on the floor.
Yeah, and they came back with it and something, and here you go. So it kind of put it about that far away. And then somebody came up literally with a bucket of blood and started pouring it around
between the arm and it's quite a big gap
Yeah,
between
quite a big gap.
the stump and the arm.
So what's the screening? Is it 18 plus? Something. It's not for kids.
But I think he said, "Oh no, this is Peter. There's going to be blood everywhere."
Yeah.
But Peter said, "Oh," so shouted over. He said, "That's not enough blood on that.
Yeah, more blood.
More blood." And his sergeant major, I can't remember her name.
Yeah.
Not a technical word for in film, but his
She knows what's going on all the
assistant
time.
director, I think it was, shouted, "Oh, Peter!" as he getting more blood poured on it. He just sort of sheepishly grinned and sort of
Just
scuttled off.
You just about see it for a split second, less than a split second.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's fun.
But during that time, was it? Because we went over a few times, didn't we?
Twice during or 3 times during the Lord of the Rings. Yeah.
Yeah. During that time, one of the days, Peter came up to us and said, "Would you?" Oh, it must have been the first time we were there. Must have been the first time. We were still in Weta. That's right. We were still in Weta. We hadn't gotten onto set or anything. And said, "Would you be interested in doing a bit of sculpting with me on Saturday?" We said, "Yeah, great."
No, busy, I'm afraid.
What?
We said we're busy.
Yeah.
No,
We were
hadn't got anything on. No.
So he arranged that we'd be doing this in the Weta studio in the
Canteen.
actually. In the canteen with quite a large table. So we turned up there. It was me, you, and Alessio, and Brian, and Gary, and one of the other sculptors from
Gary Hunt.
Gary Hunt, as well. And yeah, we all sat around during. There is footage of this on YouTube actually, I think, and we just had a very relaxing day of sculpting with Peter, making 54mm First World War figures, which are his main interest. And
Is it AD?
it's PA.
PA.
No, it's not an ADC.
No.
Same thing, but
Yeah. It's really. His PA came in, and he said, "Peter, I think you're remember your family." He said, "Oh, that's right." And actually, we completely lost what time it was.
yeah.
And we said, "Aren't we taking up a lot of time with
Well,
your time?"
I said, there must be. I said, must be hundreds of people who sort of waiting for your input on something. He said, "Oh yeah, but this is good for me." It's a
I
good
have to relax
state of mind.
occasionally.
So no, he was very, very good, very relaxed.
In the end, it was a bit of a rush to get out, wasn't it? Because they're locking up the place.
Yeah.
Everybody else was out of the building, out of Weta, and there was the.
Remember, we went the second time. The Hobbit was when we. Got
Oh
locked
yeah,
in.
that's true. We got locked
was
in
a
there
different
once, almost.
Yeah, we did it a second time. Peter asked if we could
Do the same.
This is 2012 when they're doing. Just 2011, I think, when they're shooting The Hobbit. And Peter asked again, 10 years after the first time, "Are you busy on Saturday?" And we said, "No, we'll do some sculpting." He said, yeah. And Richard Taylor said, "Oh, can I come? Can I come?" So that was with Ali. Was it Ali Morrison?
Yeah.
Came along. And
Richard Taylor's just a brilliant sculptor.
he can turn his hand to anything. Sculpt. He's brilliant. And so Richard Taylor, Peter Jackson, me, Michael, and Ali, with pizzas and beers in one of the sculptor's rooms.
Again, it got quite late.
Yeah, it's
Somebody
quite
poked
late.
their head around. We're just locking up now.
Okay, and then carried on.
Carry on.
And it was by the time, around about, I don't know, it must have been 11 o'clock or something. We all thought, we should probably close by this point.
Yeah.
But because the Weta Studios changed all their corridors and everything and rooms around, you can get lost in there. I think Richard already left, didn't he?
Yeah. So
Richard left earlier, so
four
we
of
were
us.
there with Peter.
Yeah.
There's 4 of us.
Yeah.
And we couldn't get out
we didn't know where the light switches were, so we're going down kind of blind corridors with mannequins and armour on and
There's Peter in front.
bits of beasts.
Yeah.
Kind of in the corridors.
Also, Peter had been there before.
Yeah. Well,
Once or twice.
It's just completely bewildering going around there. It's like a maze.
But it wasn't until we found the cleaner at the bottom of the stairway, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah. He said,
And she was a bit surprised to see us all in there. And Peter said, "Can you get us out?"
so we didn't have a pass to get out.
That's right, he needed a pass, and he didn't have a pass for Weta. I think it will sort of...
And we didn't have a pass.
Just the night staff would come in,
Yeah.
the pass for the night. I don't know, whatever it is.
No, we could have spent the whole night in there.
Yeah.
Had it not been for the cleaner.
I think we drank all the beer and ate
Yeah.
all the pizzas as well. Yeah.
We still use the toilet, so.
Yeah. Yeah, it was some of the models we made for Lord of the Rings. We needed reference, and sometimes occasionally it was a bit too late to actually send it across because there's, say, mostly digital stuff we're working on, or that they were working on that we need to make sooner than they'd sort of put it in the movie ready. So when we were over there one of the times, we getting up to make sort of is the third film, and they needed a mammocle made. I don't think
Workshop did, you know.
Workshop needed a mammocle, and I don't
wasn't much
think we
reference
had any
material at the
reference
time.
at all actually. So when we were over there, we noticed that they had one of these sitting around, and this was used to scan. It was obviously made as a sort of not digitally made. It's just hand sculpted at that time, and then they scanned them to put them in the actual sort of digital version of it in the movie,
Animate them.
to animate them. So this is one of the. This is a second. I think this is the second
Casting they did.
casting of the mammocle they use in the movie. So there's only, as far as I know, 2 of these around. But it was perfect. It's obviously perfect for me when I sculpted the mammocle for Games Workshop. But we need to bring it back in a suitcase. It didn't go in the hold. It went sort of very carefully on sort of just above me in my seat when we flew over. But yeah, it's quite a weight. It's
You can't tell the weight from that.
no, it's resin. It's solid resin, so it's quite a good weight to it.
But yeah, there's a number of things that we didn't have reference material for, like the King of the Dead. That was digital as well. So, but they had a towards the end of the third movie, I was trying to make the helmet, and I had partial reference material, and I got into contact with Richard and said, "Have you got anything more kind of defined?" And he said, "Oh yes, we can send you a copy of the helmet in the post." And I said, "Oh, okay." So it did take a couple of months to actually get there, and it's still useful. By the time I still had time to make the model once it arrived. But yeah, it was nice to have as well. It's got the cheek pieces as well at home, but I didn't bring them. This is the beast from Grond, but not that we ever made Grond itself.
That was sitting underneath one of the bloke who designed it under his desk, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
He said, "Yeah, you could have that."
it's wooden backed. It's just literally the original, I think, isn't it?
No,
Is it?
It's a cast.
Oh, it is cast, isn't it? Yeah, it's just wood on the back.
No.
Right. Yeah.
And these are 2 of the trolls. I think we've got 3.
Tack troll. There's another one. Yours, I think.
All right, yeah.
Tack troll and a siege troll, I think. But these 2 caused a bit of a problem in the airport
In Wellington.
in Wellington. We're flying out, and this is all hush hush. Nothing of this could be seen outside Weta. I'd put these in hand luggage because I didn't want to put them in the hold, and obviously the staff sort of spotted me in line and hauled me over, put the bag on top of the table. So, and this long line of passengers waiting to sort of go out, were all lined up and sort of all quite interested, sort of looking over. This is about 20 feet away. So I stood in front of the bag, a bit like that. And the security were looking through it, and they found, they were very excited when they found these two. And
They're calling
they called more security over.
to have a look.
Have a look. And they look, I said, you can't see any of this. You're not supposed to see any of this. I said, Lord of the Rings? I said, yes. Oh, right, okay, all right. So, they're very good about it, but yeah, it's nearly a sort of there's a bit of a
International incident.
no, it's not international. But yeah, might have been a bit of a problem. Luckily, they didn't get them out and put them on the table anyway. But yeah, it's all because it's all digital. All these things are digital, and we needed more
Reference material.
reference.
Oh, and yeah, and it's the best kind of reference material. So you're just copying them, right? And this is actually The Hobbit, not the War in the Hobbit, but only in one scene, not in Lord of the Rings. So I'll take it off. This is one of the Moran and Orc armours. We were coming up to making Moran and Orcs, which appear in the final film, because Peter wanted a more coherent look to the Orcs. Up to then, there'd been a bit of a mishmash of lots of different types of armour and weapons. And so Richard did was it 30 of these suits. A few different helmets, but that was the main suit. We were about to make them, and we asked Richard, have you got anything we can, either or photographs or anything we can take back for reference? And he said,
This is while we're over in New Zealand.
in New Zealand. He said, oh yeah, remember to let me know just before you go, and you can take an armour home with you. And we went, ooh. So luckily I remembered about half an hour before we were due to go to the airport. And he said, oh, come downstairs. We went running downstairs, and he got all the bits out. And again, put it in 2 suitcases, I think it was, and additional suitcases, and got them on the plane. But
he said, do you want the clothing as well? There's clothing, but they were just rags. So we said, no, maybe not.
A bit manky.
But we should have done, obviously.
Yeah. I think they would have fallen apart by now.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
But yeah, it's a nice thing to...
And this one actually, in the greave, is written the name Salah, as in Salah Baker, who played the Witch King and Lurtz and everything else. And he's a huge... He was up about there.
Yes, so this isn't the right
This isn't the right scale. It should be up here, but I haven't got a mannequin that will fit that. And he had a muscle suit on underneath this. He was gigantic anyway. So this looks a bit weird on this sort of
small mannequin,
really. It looks like a goblin
goblin
rather than